I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to get like this. Honestly, I thought I knew my wife, thought I knew her better than anyone. We'd been planning this wedding for months. Everything was perfect, or so I believed. I'd been so wrapped up in making it special, I didn't see the signs. Not really. It all started a few days before the big day. I'd been running around, tying up last-minute details, when I decided to surprise her with breakfast in bed. I got up early, grabbed her favorite coffee, and headed to our bedroom. The door was slightly ajar, strange because she always closes it. I pushed it open quietly, expecting her to be sleeping or maybe even getting ready. What I saw stopped me cold. On our bedside table there was a small pile of receipts and a hotel key card, just lying there. My stomach sank. My first instinct was panic. I looked at the receipts: hotels, restaurants, gas stations, places we'd never gone together. My heart hammered. I looked closer and saw the date, right before our wedding. My palms started to sweat. I couldn't breathe right. It hit me like a punch. That wasn't just an innocent trip. Something was really wrong. I sat on the edge of the bed, my head spinning. I tucked the evidence into my pocket, tried to breathe through the rising rage. How could she do this? How could she cheat on me, and right before we were supposed to start our life together? I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but the pieces fit too perfectly. I remembered her acting weird lately, her phone buzzing more than usual, hurried responses, avoiding my eyes. I thought she was just stressed. But this was different. It wasn't stress, it was betrayal. And the worst part, I couldn't tell if I felt more hurt or furious, probably both. That morning I sat there staring at the evidence, trying to keep calm. I knew that whatever I did next could change everything, but I couldn't pretend I hadn't seen what I saw. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew I had to face the truth. I'd been played for a fool. I had to decide what to do. Confront her immediately, or wait, gather more proof. I knew I couldn't trust her anymore, not after this. The wedding was just days away, and suddenly everything felt like a lie. My entire world was crashing down, and I was left holding the pieces. I took a deep breath, feeling the cold air hit my face. The shock was still raw, but I knew one thing: I wasn't going to let this slide, not without a fight. I needed a plan, one that wouldn't just blow up in my face, that would give me the closure I needed. But it was clear, my next move had to be careful. I couldn't afford to mess this up, not with everything at stake. As I stared at the evidence that morning, I realized I had two choices: ignore it and pretend I didn't see anything, or face her head on. I knew what I was leaning toward. I whispered to myself, no more games, no more lies. And that's when I started planning the revenge I knew was coming. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling around the same questions. How long had she been lying? Was this just a one-time thing, or had I been blind to a whole other side of her? The worst part was the feeling of betrayal, like I'd been punched repeatedly in the gut. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the hotel key, the receipts, everything. It was 4 years of marriage, completely shattered in a single moment. I knew I had to be smart. Going in blind would only make things worse. I needed proof, something undeniable to confront her with. I didn't want a shouting match, not yet. I needed her to admit everything, or at least to see that I knew the truth. So I waited, pretending to sleep, but my mind was racing. I couldn't let this slip away without a fight. The next morning I decided to check her phone. I wasn't planning to snoop. Okay, maybe I was, but I needed to see if she'd slipped up. I waited until she was in the shower, then quickly grabbed it from the nightstand. Her messages were mostly innocent, but on the side there were some strange texts. Flirty, suggestive, almost like she was trying to hide something. And then I saw her brother's name pop up more than once. A cold sweat broke out on my forehead. I never liked her brother much. He always had this way of pushing buttons, acting like he knew everything. But seeing their exchange, that was a different level. They were planning something, clearly. The last message was a photo of a hotel room, her brother, no doubt, and a text: "Tonight we'll finally get rid of the guilt." I stared at the screen, heart pounding. I felt like I'd been punched again. My head spun. Confirmation. They'd been hiding this from me all along. Not just a fling, but something more, something secret. I clenched my fists so tight my knuckles turned white. The world I'd built with her was a lie. All those nights, all those promises were just a mask. I knew I couldn't keep this quiet. Not anymore. I had to do something. I couldn't just confront her without solid proof. I needed to see what they were up to, catch them in the act if I could. If she thought I was clueless, she'd keep going. But I wasn't going to let her walk away, so I devised a plan. I'd follow her that night. I'd find that hotel, see if she really was there with her brother, and get everything on tape if I could. I didn't care what it took. I was done playing nice. She'd pushed me to my limit, and now I was ready to fight back. I left her sleeping, the phone still in my pocket. My palms were sweaty, but I felt a strange sense of calm. I'd finally found the truth. The pieces were falling into place, and I was about to see her for what she really was. No more pretending. No more lies. The game was on. Later that evening, I slipped out quietly, adrenaline pounding through my veins. I followed her car, heart racing with every mile. I knew where her brother's hotel was, an out-of-the-way place, not fancy but enough. I parked a few blocks away and watched as she arrived with her brother. They went inside and I snapped some pictures with my phone, my hands trembling but steady. Watching them through the window, I felt a surge of anger. They looked so cozy, so guilty. They didn't notice me watching. That's when I realized I'd caught them red-handed. The revenge I'd been planning was about to kick off in full. I had what I needed. The truth was finally laid bare, and I was ready to face whatever came next. The next morning, I woke up with a strange mix of relief and adrenaline. I had the photos, the messages, everything I needed to make her see I wasn't fooling around anymore. But I also knew this wasn't going to be easy. Confronting her with the truth was one thing, but the fallout, hell, I wasn't sure I was ready for that. Still, I had no choice. I couldn't keep pretending I didn't know her secret. I decided I'd wait until she got home from work. No way I was going to do this in the heat of the moment. I wanted her to see I was serious, that I had proof. When she finally came through the door that evening, I'd already set the scene. I had everything laid out on the dining table, my phone with the pictures, the receipts, the hotel key card I'd found that morning. It looked like I'd been planning this for days, which I had. She looked tired, her face pale and her eyes darting around like she was trying to find a way out. "Hey," she said softly, trying to seem nonchalant. "Is everything okay?" I fixed her with a deadpan stare. "No," I said, "not anymore." I pushed the photos across the table. "Tell me what this is." She looked at the screen, her eyes narrowing, her face blanching. "Where did you get those?" "Doesn't matter," I said, voice low and steady. "What matters is I found out what you've been hiding." I slid the receipts and hotel key toward her. "How long has this been going on? Tell me everything now." She looked stunned, her lips trembling. She started, then hesitated. "It's not what you think." "Oh, really?" I snapped back. "Because it looks pretty damn clear to me. You and your brother, what, helping each other through tough times? Is that what you're calling it?" Her eyes filled with tears. "It's not like that, I swear it's not what you think. We were just lost, confused, and it was a mistake." "A mistake," I echoed, feeling my stomach twist. "You're kidding, right? A mistake doesn't leave hotel receipts and it doesn't text. Tonight we finally get rid of the guilt. Do you even hear yourself?" She looked down, voice cracking. "I didn't mean for you to find out like this. I was going to tell you, I swear. I just didn't know how. I was so scared. I cut her off. "You're the one who cheated and now you're scared." My chest was tight, all the frustration, the rage, it was bubbling over. "You think I don't feel like I got punched in the stomach? For 4 years I thought I knew my wife. Turns out I was just too blind to see the truth." She sobbed softly, covering her face. "I love you. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. It just happened because we were both so damn lost." "That's bullshit," I said coldly. "You betrayed me, your brother too, and you expect me to just forgive and forget." She looked up at me, her eyes pleading. "Please don't throw everything away. I made a mistake. I'll fix this, I swear I will." But I knew better. I'd heard enough lies. I'd seen enough proof. This wasn't just a one-time slip-up. It was a pattern, a betrayal that ran deep. I felt my jaw tight. I didn't want to yell, not yet. I wanted her to really understand the gravity of what she'd done. "Listen," I said, voice rough. "I need some time to think, but don't expect me to come back from this easily. This is the end of us. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, marrying someone who could do this to me." Her face crumpled. She reached across the table, clutching my hand. "Please, just give me a chance to make this right. I'll do anything." I pulled my hand away gently but decisively. "No, you had your chance. You threw it away for some stupid, reckless mistake. And now I'm done. I've got one last thing to do and then I'm gone." She looked desperate, tears streaming down her face. "Where are you going?" "To get my keys," I said, standing up. "And then I'll be filing for divorce. You can tell your brother, your friends, whoever you want. I don't care anymore. Just know this, my trust is gone. You've lost everything." As I grabbed my coat, her voice cracked behind me. "Please don't do this. Don't leave me like this." I turned just long enough to say, "You should have thought of that before you cheated on me. Goodbye." The door shut behind me with a final, echoing click. I felt my stomach churn with a strange mix of relief and rage. I'd finally uncovered the truth. Now I was about to settle the score. Next, what's the revenge plan? The drive to the courthouse was one of the longest of my life. I kept replaying everything, the look on her face, her trembling voice, the betrayal I'd uncovered. Each mile felt heavier than the last. I didn't bother turning on the radio. I just stared out the windshield, my hands clenched so tight my knuckles ached. I knew what I was about to do, and honestly it felt like the only thing left to even the score. I arrived at the courthouse in a daze, my heart pounding. I'd made up my mind. This was going to be a clean break. No messy battles, no dragging it out, just a decisive cut. I had the proof I needed, instant access to the truth, and I was going to use it. I filled out the papers, handed over my keys, and requested the divorce. The clerk glanced at me with a mixture of sympathy and curiosity, probably guessing what I was going through. I barely cared. I just wanted to get this over with. As I signed the documents, I kept telling myself, this is the end of her, the end of us, and the start of whatever comes next. With everything filed, I walked out into the sunlight. That's when I pulled out my phone and started to make some calls. To my lawyer, to a private investigator I'd hired just yesterday. I was done playing nice. Now it was time to settle the score. My plan was simple but effective. I wasn't going to just leave her and let her walk away unscathed. That wasn't who I was. No, I wanted her to understand exactly what she'd lost. I wanted her to feel the sting of betrayal as powerfully as I had. Here, what I was going to do, I had the hotel receipts, the photos, and the messages. I was going to leak everything to her family, her friends, even her if I had to. I wanted her reputation to take a hit, something to remind her that cheating isn't just a mistake, it's a choice. But I had another, more personal plan. I called my brother, her brother, and I told him I knew everything. I laid out the evidence and I told him I didn't want to see him anymore, not until he made some serious choices. I kept my tone calm but firm. "If you're still my brother, you'll stay away from her. I don't want to hear from you, see you, or even know you're around. I don't want to see you at the funeral if I ever hear you're involved in her mess." He froze on the other end of the line. "Listen, man." "No," I said coldly. "No excuses. You lied to me, pushed me aside, and you did this. Stay out of my life from now on. I don't want you involved in any way. You're dead to me." That felt good, more than good, honestly. It was the first step in reclaiming some dignity. I made it clear I was done with all of them, the wife, the brother, the twisted family ties. From this moment on, I was starting fresh, even if it meant burning everything to the ground first. Over the next few days, I orchestrated the leak. I sent the evidence to her closest friends, her boss, her family. I crafted a simple message, no need for drama, just the facts. The fallout was immediate. Friends were stunned. Her family was furious. Some even called me to apologize, saying they'd always suspected something but never had proof. I stayed quiet in the meantime, letting the chaos unfold. Meanwhile, I was packing up and moving out of the apartment. I handed the keys over to the landlord, took one last look around our shared space, and felt that strange, cold sense of closure. She'd shattered trust, but I was rebuilding on my own terms now. The final piece of my revenge was personal but equally simple. I blocked her number, deleted all the photos of us, and made sure there was no way she could reach me. I refused to let her hurt me anymore. I wanted her to see that she'd lost everything: my respect, my love, my patience. When I finally sat down in a quiet coffee shop, I realized I'd done everything I set out to do. I'd exposed her, divorced her, and cut her out of my life, clean, swift, and brutal. No dragging things out, no second chances. Just straight-up truth and the consequences. That's when I knew I'd taken back control. And for the first time in days, I felt lighter. The anger was still there, but now it was harnessed. I'd unshackled myself from the chaos she tried to trap me in. Her betrayal was a disaster, yes, but I refused to let it define me. I guess the lesson is, sometimes you need to hit back, not with violence or tears, but with clarity and action, because that's the only way to truly move on. It's been a few weeks since I filed for divorce, and honestly, I feel like I've finally started to breathe again. The weight of her betrayal still lingers, but I've managed to regain some sense of clarity. I won't lie, it's been a rough ride. The shock, the anger, the heartbreak, every emotion hit me hard. But I knew I couldn't keep dragging this out. I had to make a clean break, and I did. I've spent most of my time rebuilding, trying to remind myself what normal feels like. I've gone back to work, started hitting the gym again, and even gone out with friends a few times. It's not easy, but it's necessary. I want to rebuild from the ground up, stronger than I was before. And honestly, I'm surprised how much clarity I've gained through all this chaos. The thing that stands out most now is how much better I feel knowing I took control. I didn't let her or her brother destroy me. Instead, I cut ties, exposed everything, and moved on with my head held high. But I also learned something crucial during this process. I realized that trust, once broken, is hard to repair. I won't be rushing into anything new anytime soon. I need time to heal, to figure out what I truly want. Still, I keep thinking about some of her last words before I left. She begged me to stay, swore she'd fix it, that she loved me. It's pretty clear now she was just trying to manipulate me into staying, but I wasn't buying it. I think that's what made me more determined to follow through. Because if I'd stayed, I'd just be one more person pretending everything was okay. I'd be lying to myself. I also found some peace in realizing I dodged a bullet. Yeah, losing someone you thought you knew hurts like hell, but staying with her would have been worse. I'd rather be alone than stuck in a relationship built on lies. I've learned to value honesty over everything else. And honestly, I'm proud of myself for finally seeing the truth and acting on it. The fallout from the leak was interesting. Her friends stopped calling, some even ghosted her. Her family was furious at her, which was satisfying in an odd way. I didn't want to gloat, but I couldn't help feeling a little victorious. She'd betrayed my trust, and I'd made sure everyone knew the truth. I told myself, let her feel the consequences. Now I'm focusing on myself. I've started therapy, needed to work through the anger and disappointment. I've been journaling too. It helps to get everything out, but I don't dwell on her anymore. I've learned that forgiveness isn't about her. It's about freeing myself. I'm choosing to let go of the bitterness, even if it's still a work in progress. One thing I want to share is this: trust is fragile. Once broken, it's almost impossible to repair, but you can control how you respond. I could gone down the rabbit hole of revenge, but instead, I chose to take control, to cut out what was killing me. That's what made all the difference. Most importantly, I've realized I'm stronger than I thought. Betrayal hurts, but it doesn't define you. You get to decide what comes next. And right now, I choose to focus on rebuilding my life one step at a time. Because if she taught me anything, it's that you have to fight for your happiness, even if it means losing someone you loved. Next, what's the final decisive action I took? The day I handed over the final pieces of my old life was strangely cathartic. I went to her house, the one I once thought would be our forever, and left the keys with her landlord. She wasn't there, I knew she wouldn't be. I made sure she saw me, holding the keys, calm but resolute. I looked her in the eye for a moment, knowing I'd never see her again. I didn't say much, didn't need to. The message was clear. I was finally done. Done with her lies, her betrayal, and the life I thought we had built. I turned and walked away, feeling this strange breath of fresh air flood through my chest. As I closed the door behind me, I knew I'd made the right choice. No more second-guessing, no more excuses. Just a clean break, sealed with that simple act of handing over the keys. That's all it took to reclaim my life. Looking back now, I realize that sometimes the ultimate revenge isn't about hurting someone else. It's about freeing yourself from the pain and the lies. I didn't need to burn her down or plaster her secrets everywhere. What mattered was that I took control, took what was mine back, and walked away with my dignity intact. And that's exactly what I did. So if you're ever in a situation where someone betrays you, whether it's a partner, a friend, or family, remember, Your power lies in how you respond. Take back your control. Cut out what's killing your peace. Because at the end of the day, the best revenge is simply living well without them.